All right, guys, let's talk tactics for a second here. So, there's a lot of gatekeeping that goes on in the football manager community. There's this general attitude that you see among people who post on the official boards, who make videos on YouTube, who write on Reddit and write in comment sections and so on, that downloaded tactics is not the way to go, and that everybody should just create their own football manager tactic, and that's the only right way to play the game. Now, I respect the opinion. I've tried tactical creation myself. In fact, if you watch my earlier save with FM23, you'll see what a spectacular failure that was. Having said so, I'm not really in agreement that the most realistic way to play Football Manager is to create your own tactic, or that it is the most fun way to play. There are a couple of reasons for that, but the chief and foremost reason why I don't agree with the idea of creating your own tactic is because when you come here into Football Manager to create your own tactic, you're not really creating a tactic from scratch, right? If I go in here and I click, I want to create a new tactic, here we are, and we have a choice between different tactical styles that are pre-programmed. And what can you do? You can choose a formation based on that, and it will tell you, guess what? Let's play a Gegenpress 4-2-3-1 DMAM wide, right? This is the exact same thing that everybody's played with. We know that this Gegenpress tactic is overpowered. It's been overpowered in Football Manager now for at least 5 years, I believe, and continues to be so, even though there have been changes to fatigue and to other systems in the game. I mean, we know this already, right? If you tell people, hey, don't download any tactics, don't try anything weird, just do what the game tells you and then make little adjustments here and there and experiment this way, you're going to get people who, like me, are going to try something weird and end up failing and looking like an idiot, which is pretty common. I mean, it may actually be true. Or you're going to get everybody playing a tactic like this, or playing, the tiki-taka, vertical tiki-taka tactic that tends to work for a bunch of other people, right? I mean, that's kind of what happens. You don't get a lot of variety when you see this sort of thing happen. If you want to create a really creative tactic, you can do so. You can create one not using one of those formulas, or one of the set models that come in with the game, but it's going to take you a long time to get something that actually works. And my biggest problem with this is that if you want a tactic that works and that will have the game play out the way you want it to be played, you're going to end up doing a lot of holidaying through seasons. You're going to end up skipping this season and skipping that next season, and then taking a whole bunch of notes and writing down things and trying to see if this works or that works. There are tons of variables as well that goes into it, right? You have to figure out, are my players actually going to play well in this certain tactic? Is it better for me to go and buy new players specifically for the tactic? Right? What is the reputation of the club like? Can we actually attract players who would be good fits for the tactic into our club? And there's all sorts of other problems you have to think about, all sorts of things that can come into the tactical question and screw things up. And so as a result, my personal opinion here is that Football Manager should be less about this sort of scientific experiment, and it should be more really about the storytelling and about the enjoyment that you get from the game. That is exactly the reason why I am in favor of using a tactic that has been downloaded and that has been tested by others. Guess what? I hear all the time where people talk about, this tactic exploits some weakness in the game. There's some sort of weakness in the code and the evil tactic creators have exploited it. It's not true at all. If you go onto Discord, if you go onto the message boards, if you see on the Facebook groups or wherever these people are, if you see the discussions that take place and the things that people do, a lot of the tactic testing is actually sort of trial and error. And there's a lot of, let's see if this tactic will work for a lower team side. So they choose some random English lower league side and holiday for a while and see if they can win or not without changing personnel a lot. That's basically how it works, right? It's possible that, because we have two of these fancy segundo volantes in the club, in the tactic, maybe this is the reason why we're having so much success or these players are playing well. I would argue maybe that might have a little bit to do with it. I think it has a lot more to do with the money that we have at the club and the fact that we've been able to hire players who are good. And even then, as I've been saying the whole time, we have problems with, look at all these issues, right? Look at all these problems that we have with people who want to start more games, even though they're like the leading starter on the club. And, with all this other stuff that happens. Look, if you want to do tactic testing, if you want to create a bunch of videos and say let's see how this random tactic does for this team and this thing or that thing, you can do so. Look, as a content creator, I understand it, right? It's easy to make. You can make it quickly. You get a result quickly. You can put it up and people will watch it. But as somebody who is a fan of this game, And as somebody who loves watching these videos, I'm going to tell you that I always prefer the storyline. I want to know about the stories that happen. You don't get that from that type of tactical testing. And you also don't get it if you're going to sit around and screw around with the tactic all day long and come up with some sort of mess based upon, whatever model is out there. So, I mean, you can do what you want. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to let the people who care about tactics and who are, tactics mavens worry about the tactics. As far as I'm concerned, I'm just going to sort of play with what they have and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then it's an even better story. Anyway, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.